Hello, everybody. It's Anne. Thanks for stopping in. So, it is a cold, rainy, gray, dreary day here in Portland, Oregon, which just means it's January in Portland, Oregon. Although, as I've said before, we like our rainy days. It makes me think if we're lucky enough to do so, it's a good day to stay inside to craft or perhaps do puzzles. What about if we combined crafting and puzzles today? There are a lot of videos out there, some wonderful ones on how to alter puzzle pieces. And uh, I really like the ones that result in a puzzle piece big enough to actually use as a journal card. The little ones are really cute for embellishments. But the ones that I tend to be drawn to because I like to write so much, I like the ones that are journal cards. And they're just the right size for writing down just a few little special memories, one of those moments of magic that we like to remember, our observations about our days. The best uh, One of the best that I've seen is from Natasa at Treasure Books. You've probably seen this too. She took a real puzzle that was belonged to her son, but it was damaged, and transformed them into beautiful journal cards. But what if you don't have any of those big puzzle pieces? I've looked and looked in thrift stores, and I've not been successful in finding large size puzzle pieces. My grandson has a couple of puzzles here. I'm not ready to relegate these to the craft bin yet, but I took them out just for the shapes for inspiration. What if we wanted to make faux puzzle pieces to serve as journal cards? That's what we're going to do today. I made a bunch of these a couple of years ago after I saw a great video by Julie at Camellia Crafts. And I'm going to link that because it's a very, very good tutorial about how to make faux puzzle pieces. And that's what we're going to do today. So, what I've done is I've started with just a very simple, small sized masterboard, all neutral tones, very lightly sprayed with coffee. I glued these collage pieces on, I think it was a catalog page or something, and then I glued that onto a piece of thin cardstock. And so this is still fairly thin, but it's sturdy enough that it can stand up to uh, the rigors of, of the writing in the in and out of your journal. This is a standard 8.5 by 11 size, but the size doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is cut this down into what seem to be reasonably sized puzzle pieces. And I'm going to cut this one, cut them four. Maybe I'm going to cut them almost in the middle, maybe about 4.25 wide. The size, again, totally up to you. You may be wanting to make little ones. There we go. This probably would be easier on my trimmer, but I wanted to do it here on camera, and my trimmer is so bulky to bring over here to my craft desk. Let's see, so that's a little bit more than 4 inches wide, and I think I'm going to make the rest rectangularly, maybe just a little more than 3 inches wide. Let me do several here. These are going to be the bases for our faux puzzle pieces. The batch that I made a few years ago, I just loved. I sent them to friends. I use them in my journals. They're just fun and delightful. And the very shape of them, I mean, you look at them and you know exactly what they are. This one's a little bigger. That's okay. I'm going to set this aside for a little bit later. So let's make 3 puzzle pieces out of these little squarish rectangle things. The main thing that you need for this project is you do need a bit of a circle punch. This is a 1-inch punch. I also have a 3/4 inch punch. Over here, I got both of these at the thrift store. I think I'm going to use the 1-inch punch today, but if the proportions seem wrong, we'll switch to the smaller ones. And the key to this, and I'm going to bring our little real puzzle pieces over for inspiration. With these faux puzzle pieces, we're going to use the punches to make what what in the family we call the innies. We don't have the outies here. We have to do without the outies, but they're still going to look like puzzle pieces. And so we're going to cut these little indentations, the little innies, with our circle punch. We're going to turn it upside down, and it can go anywhere along here. I'm going to put this one a little bit to this side for absolutely no reason, but you can see I haven't gone all the way in. I've gone almost all the way in. Hope that didn't hit you in the face there. And I can go here and do the same thing. And you know what, maybe I'll go here. That might make it a little challenging to decorate, but we're up for a challenge, aren't we? Does that not look like a puzzle piece? It does, but there's only one thing that's wrong with it, and it's easy to fix. These little pointy things, you can see on a real puzzle, they're rounded. So we're just going to do that manually, and it's so easy to do. Do not be intimidated by this. This is how easy it is. Just get out your scissors and just do a little bit of a rounded clip, because you don't want anything pointy still there. It's going to look much more puzzly when you cut that off. Don't cut off much, just a little bit. The actual precision is not going to matter, because again, these are not puzzle pieces that are fitting together to form, the engine of an aircraft carrier or anything like that. They're journal cards. This is going to be our base, and the fun part is yet to come. Doesn't that look puzzly? Yes, it does. Let's do a couple more, and then we'll get to decorating them. Let's see. I think I'm going to try this one with just one punch on one side and one on the other. We'll just do two punches here. I think that one did bop you in the nose. I'm sorry about that. I hope that wasn't too shocking. We all know what it's like to be punching things out and having them shoot halfway across the room. And we have to get down on our hands and knees, hunt for them. These could be saved. I'm going to save them for now. There's several layers thick, but this one is our slightly larger one, so I'm definitely going to go for 3. Let me cover this so I don't have that assault on your senses. I should have thought to do this earlier. Want them all a little asymmetrical. And that little snip. I was kind of intimidated to do this the first time. I thought, oh, I can't freehand something like this. Well, I can, and so can you. You know you can. If you don't have a small punch, you can get out a little jar lid or something and draw a circle just around this portion with, leaving that little bit of a straight edge along the edge, and hand cut it, and that would work out just fine as well. So you get your little bits, but there we go. There's our 3 puzzle pieces. I am resisting the urge to pull out my corner rounder because I want to do that, but for a real puzzle piece, they fit together, so they don't have rounded edges like that. So I'm going to resist that. I think I'm going to ink next, and then we'll bring in our decorations. So how's the weather where you are today? We've had actually kind of a warm. Oh, if you wonder why I'm using the brush, I kind of want to get a little bit further in. I want to do a little bit more than just the edges. I want to get further in this time. I don't know why. I just kind of do. When I leave a sort of a light area in the center, it kind of has a glow that way, and I like that. It might not show up all that much because I did coffee dye this. Whoops, I just bumped you with my head. I actually have my arms around you right now. The the arm is coming that holds my phone is coming around this way, and so it's kind of like I'm giving you a hug. Looks like this came up. I'm just gonna fix that here right now. Not gonna put up with that nonsense. Here's one using the brush. Maybe I'll just do one where I'll just do the edges. Kind of have something to compare. Yeah, that is different. I'll do two, which is the edges, and then we'll leave that large one with the brush inking. These are such a fast project, and they just are so cute in a journal. That is that. There we go. Now, how should we decorate these guys? I have a few little things over here. I felt like this was a project because it is kind of whimsical with the puzzle piece and everything. I kind of wanted to go with a little bit of whimsy in my decorating. So I pulled out a few of my little embellishments, things that I've cut out of books, as you can see, that were sort of unusual shapes. And I thought this one was cute. A bunch of squirrels sitting on a pipe. This is from an old storybook, talking to a robin. I kind of like that. Now, what do we put down here? A little postal stamp, and hmm, because these are whimsical, I'm not going to call them childlike because they, belong in a grown-up person's journal, but there is a little bit of whimsy in them. We have that with the illustration. I also pulled out um, some phrases from children's books and children's magazines. My grandson had some old highlights magazines that he's gone through and read many, many times, uh, and I decided to harvest them. So I pulled out a few little phrases that were sort of sweet. Oh, that's kind of cute. It's cold outside. No, it didn't come out in my original culling through, but I think I'm gonna pull that one out. I think I'm not gonna put Washington in. I think we're all a little annoyed at that zip code right now. Oh man. Um, is there another little piece? Maybe I'll put in, I have a bunch of half circles here. Maybe I can put this half circle below the little squirrels. I think I'm going to go with that. I think that might be the way to go. Maybe I have some of these other little guys. squeeze in there too, but I don't like to over decorate these um, because the shape itself is just so intriguing. But this idea of having little phrases from children's books, I think is something. If you haven't done that, uh, try it, because the text, the type is usually a little bit um, larger. There's just always some sort of interesting things that you can pick up. Um, wish I'd put that over a little bit more, but I can cut off the end of that pipe. That's what we got now. Do I want it's cold outside? Um, actually, they look like they're having fun. How about and they all laughed? That's cute, because then I could use this um, as as a fun little card to, write about, things that we did with my grandson. He was here for a sleepover on New Year's Eve, and we all laughed. We had so much fun. We played so many games, and we had a great time. And that's the kind of little thing I like to write down a few memories about and stick in my journal, my new 2024 journal. Yeah, feeling okay about that. I've had this around. I cut that, I think, a couple of years ago out of a book, and it's been in with my ephemera, and I never knew what to do with all those little, what do I do with my scissors? Oh, here they are. All those little squirrels sitting on a pipe, eating something and talking to their robin friend. I think that's whimsical enough that will be just fine here. And they all laughed. Do I want to put anything else here? A little bit of rusty red there. Maybe I'll put one of these little labels here. Little part of a butterfly. Just a little bit of visual interest there. And let me have. There we go. I like using magazines, children's magazines, to cut these phrases out, because I still have a little bit of a hard time cutting children's books up unless they're truly, truly damaged. Because I always think, oh, my grandson could read this, or some child could get some good out of it. So I'm always hesitant a little bit. I have plenty of children's books that are completely falling apart that I can certainly harvest from, but I put them through a little bit more of a rigorous litmus test before I cut them apart. There's our first faux puzzle piece. And they all laughed because they were having so much fun. Um, this I thought was kind of whimsical. I pulled this one out, and oh, look, that's gonna be the right size. That might be all that this guy needs. This was out of a magazine, a vintage Goodwill, which is actually, I don't get many of my old books that I cut up. I don't get those from Goodwill, to be honest. Um, they tend, at least the Goodwill here, tends to not have a lot of really good old books. I think they think there's not much of a market for those, and so they cull those out. And it's more of the newer releases and more contemporary books and paperbacks and things that are at least at our neighborhood Goodwill. So where I get my old ones, you know, I have friends that are cleaning out their closets and their parents' places and things, and uh, they often just give me old books that they run across. There's a couple of other smaller thrift stores in our neighborhood that I go to. That how's that? That's actually kind of nice. I'll have to go back in and trim that, but that's okay. Maybe I'll just pull it up a little bit more. Yeah, I'll do that. Um, so I go to those smaller thrift stores. Friends give me things. one of our best new places here in Portland, and if you're in the Portland area, particularly here on the east side, I really recommend you go there, is the Friends of the Library has a new little retail store. Friends of the Multnomah County Library, of which I am a member, they used to have a huge, fabulous book sale every year where they had, old books, new books, any kind of book you want. They closed that down during COVID, and they have since opened a new year-round retail store, which is wonderful. And it just opened actually just a few weeks ago. Dan and I went there after breakfast one Saturday morning. We always go out for Saturday morning breakfast. And let's see. And I stopped in, and oh my gosh, it's just so great. So I've only been there the once. Um, in fact, I met a lovely woman there who is a junk journaler. Her name is Danetta, and I think she has become a viewer of this channel, which is great. So Danetta, if you're there, it was really nice, or if you're watching, it was really nice to meet you at the Friends of the Library store that day. Is that too much? Yeah, that's two big elements. I don't think I really like that. um, hmm, a whole little collage on there. I might give that a try, but this guy's just a little bit too big. So we're going to fix that. Anyway, the Friends of the Library little retail store has, um, they just are just a great cause, and they have all kinds of books, old and new. I found books there to sit down and read. I found books that I wanted to cut up. Uh, I found an old Charles Dickens novel of Charles Dickens' essays that I did not cut up. I packaged that right up and sent it in a Christmas box to my friend Connie in Tennessee, because Charles Dickens is her favorite author. And in fact, she and her husband have a new dog whom they named Dickens after Charles Dickens. So anyway, where else are you going to find an old vintage copy of Charles Dickens' essays? I mean, really. There's this little lock. Do I need a little something down here? Hmm. These, this collage that those words are a little big, so think I'm just going to leave that, but I do think I'm going to put this Sunbeam and Shadow title there. Anyway, if you look in your community, there will be places that will have these old books, and they are going to be there for you to repurpose, read, and enjoy if you care to do so, or to transform into new and exciting ways. Here's 3. And you know what? I'm feeling like I'm doing one more. We're only at 23 minutes. I think I would like to do one more with you. A lot of music on this one. Let's go to 4 inches on this one. I'm trying to do better about retracting my blade. I realized a couple videos ago, I wasn't retracting my blade, and I said, oh, I'm going to do better retracting my blade. And then I let this open blade sit around for like the rest of the video. So sorry about that. It's being retracted. Do I call that a New Year's resolution? I don't know, but and I really don't plan at all where I'm going to put these innies. There we go. I find that people that just give me books, people I know that do this kind of thing, they very often will call me like when they're just clearing things out, and they'll have a bunch of old books maybe that belong to their grandparents, or their late father-in-law and from the university or something like that. I mean, they're just, we all have some of those things that were at one time keepsakes and maybe are just now a little bit more of a burden. But yet, they with books, you think there's always going to be some kind of a, somebody's going to always be able to get some good out of them. Well, sometimes if they're old textbooks or old research manuals or things like that, the information is so dated. I mean, it might have been cutting edge at its time, but it might not be anything that people are going to turn to for reference, uh, or data or current thinking if it's something that was researched in 1927. So but yet they've been in boxes and in basements and hauled around from pillar to post, and people very understandably get very sentimental about those things. I would, but sometimes they just kind of want to get rid of things, and so I'm delighted uh, to be the friend that can take those things off of people's hands if they wish. Um, I found this in one of my grandson's magazines that I just thought that was just such a cute thing to put on a journal card. So why don't we put this little guy there? Everyone gets grouchy sometimes. Does he belong there? Yeah, I think, let's see, which way is this music going? Sometimes it's hard to tell. I think that the music is supposed to go this way, but the text is supposed to go this way. So let's just go ahead and get this little guy who looks like he might be just a tad bit grouchy. Let's put him there. He might be a Portland bird who's a little down in the dumps. But I'll tell you, if he were in our garden today, he wouldn't be grouchy at all because my husband keeps those bird feeders really, really nicely filled. Everyone gets grouchy sometimes. So what will I journal about with this card? I don't know. I don't want you to think I'm automatically going to journal about my grandson. I'll tell you, since that boy has really learned how to read, reading has just exploded for him. In first grade, he's been reading individual words and sounding things out for a long time. But once he hit first grade this past September, he just started exploding. Everything just clicked with him with reading, and it just puts him in such a great mood. It's like he suddenly has joined the club. He's been read to his entire life, and now all of a sudden, he's able to do the reading. And there we go. That looks kind of like a little bit like a sun or a blue moon, a green moon. Um, anyway, a lot less grouchy since reading has just become part of his world. We take him to a restaurant and he'll take forever to order, and that's okay with us because he's reading the menu and he's reading just every description, and he just thinks that it's just fascinating to read a menu in a restaurant. And it is, when you're 7 and you're out with grandma and grandpa, uh it can be super interesting to read a restaurant menu. And I wish I'd put that underneath his beak. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with that at the bottom, kind of balance that out. And I don't know how I started talking about that. I guess it was the word grouchy. things like this can act as just sort of a nice little prompt. I'm a big believer in journaling prompts. Speaking of prompts, have you been over to Junk Journal January yet? I'm a little late to the game on that because I haven't started, but I looked at those prompts and I thought, yeah, I got to get in on some of that creative action. I did get my 2024 daily journal complete, and well, the construction of the journal, and that looks like it needs a little filling in. I think I have a peg stamp over here. There we go. Anyway, I think I might do some Junk Journal January things just to make ephemera for my own 2024 journal. Let's pick up a little bit of this amber color. And echo a little bit of the dots that are in that sheet music. I said I don't want to overdo it, and then here I am. I'm not to be trusted. You know that by now. Yeah, there we go. We're going to call that done. And this will fit in a little journal. And I'll write maybe about a day when I'm a little grouchy. Because everyone gets grouchy sometimes. Anyway, there's our faux puzzle pieces. And I really want to thank Julie from Camellia Craft Designs for inspiring me with how to do this. They're so easy. They're so cute. You just journal on the back. You just write around those innies, and you have a wonderful way to save a little memory, a little observation. Maybe it's a passage out of a book or a quote or song lyrics or something like that, where you just need a little bit of space. Maybe you need to reflect just a little bit about something going on that is both a sunbeam and a shadow. We all have those things that we can save a thought or two about, a reflection, a moment to sit and ponder a little bit, to write just a few words. And we have fun things that we can do as well. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.